Thank you very much. As he said, my name is Antoine Thomas, and I work for the Center for Academic Technology Support here on campus. And as he said, my job pretty much is helping faculty and staff with their technology needs, training and development, helping them to be able to use the technology in their classroom settings. And so our session today is Substantiating Your Research, Integrating TurningPoint with SPSS Statistical Software. And our focus today is really showing how to get results from TurningPoint that you can use in your classrooms when you're doing training and development, and helping people to gather information with TurningPoint. I deal with training and instructional use, helping teachers. So I'm coming from today's workshop from more of a teaching and more of a training perspective of how you can use TurningPoint to gather those results and be able to use those results for future development. And with me is Gina Palladino.
Hi. Like they said, this is my last semester as a graduate assistant. We're going to call it the CAS office today. What I'm going to do is I'm going to be coming from more of a graduate student research perspective. Right now I'm currently doing a thesis, and so you'll be able to see how it applies to that. And we want to make this as, I guess, user-friendly and informational as possible. And we will have kind of a brainstorming session at the end. So if you have any ideas, maybe jot them down. In your folders, you'll see a gray folder located on the left-hand side is an agenda of what we're going to go over, but there's also a notes section in there. So if at any time you have any ideas that you want to discuss, go ahead and jot that down, and we'll bring that up at the end. But we really want to thank you for coming today.
All right. As we get started, let me just mention that our goal is to obtain the most accurate results as possible when we're doing training, when we're trying to gather feedback from students. And so we're going to start with our agenda today. First, we went through a little introduction. And as we go through our session, we're going to talk about the problems that we face in trying to gather accurate results. We're going to look at some of the alternative fixes that we call fixes for those problems, but yet some of the problems that lie with those fixes. From there, we're going to look at our solution, which we term the AAA guarantee. From there, we're going to recap the benefits of our AAA guarantee, followed by some interaction and some brainstorming.
Like we talked about before, if you walk away from this session not remembering anything, you'll remember the AAA guarantee. We're going to exhibit TurningPoint's data collecting and report generating capabilities, and we want to demonstrate its effects and impact on higher education.
Okay, so we wanted to start off first with some questions just to get you answering. So if you pick up your response cards, and if you would, in what area of higher education do you serve? 1 for instruction, 2 for training and development, 3 for student, if you're a graduate student, 4 for undergraduate, and 5 for others. So if you would, please respond now. Okay, we're going to close it, and we find out that in our room right now, 43% are training and development, and 43% are instruction.
Split right down the middle. Okay, we want to also know how long you've been using TurningPoint. Go ahead and choose the appropriate response.
All right, if everyone would respond accordingly, we're going to close off the poll. And we're going to see that in our room, we have 43% of the people here have been using TurningPoint for 1 to 3 years. We have one more question for you, if you wouldn't mind. Where do you most frequently use TurningPoint? In class, training sessions, research, or other? Please respond, if you would. Okay, we're going to close it off. And we find out that 83% said in class.
We want to discuss a little bit of the problems that we face conducting research, doing questionnaires and surveys. When conducting research, surveys, they sometimes aren't often returned in a timely fashion. Have you guys ever experienced something like that? Per se, if you send out a paper questionnaire and then people take it with them and they maybe remember it 2 weeks later, but it's something that we don't necessarily get the highest results we can because of just time and constraints like that. We also deal with poorly formulated survey questions and maybe inaccurate data analysis due to human error, people trying to figure it out on their own. Well, we want to show you a way that we've come up with that can help you in this manner.
Okay, some of the things that we have generated, alternative fixes that most of us know about, are questionnaires and surveys. And in questionnaires and surveys, we send them out and try to get feedback. The first type of questionnaire or survey would be paper, where we try to send out to find responses and find out what people think about a certain topic. The problem that we find with paper surveys is the cost. You have to have someone that generates the questions, someone to print up all the paper, to send it all out. So that's a lot of cost and time, which makes this a less effective way than TurningPoint would be, because you have all that paper, then you have all the man hours, you have to have someone to go through all the paperwork. A faster way is with emails. The problem with emails is most people do not take it as, don't put the time or the...
Maybe take it as seriously,
yes,
or put the effort into it that might be what we want, the level of seriousness we want them to understand it as.
And so the rate of return on that is even lower, most statistically, than the paper survey. And when we're looking at trying to get feedback and results, we want to get at least 70% to have a good return, so we can really say that we can see a trend or something of that nature. So the last one we talk about is the supervision. In order to get good return, we have to have supervision helps out. The problem with supervision, and what I mean by this is you have a lot of manpower, which means that you have to have someone generate the questions, you have to have someone that actually hands out the survey, then collects the survey, and then generate all of those results.
And that is less efficient cost-wise if you're thinking of, we're talking about manpower. We want to make sure we can be as cost and time efficient as possible. If we have a smaller amount of people that need to help out and administer the survey, the better off we are. So if you want to go ahead to the next slide. We've come up with something that we think could be a big help to you, and we think of this as the AAA guarantee. Okay, and the first step is administration. You're guaranteed supervision. Okay, if you administer a survey or a questionnaire using this software, you have your responses right then and there. And you can hold out until all the answers are collected. You know, you have maybe 50 clickers, and then you wait till you have all 50 answers in. So you have your supervision, and it only needs to be done with the one person. Okay, you're not having to have 5 people hand out surveys, go collect them from people. You eliminate all of that. Number 2, acquisition, high rate of return. If they're taking a survey right after a training session or even throughout, you have your rate of return is just right then and there. You don't have the time delay. Something that you'll think about maybe in retention, learning retention. If somebody takes a survey during a training session, they'll be able to give you, yes, I understand this concept. The right answer is A. I choose A. So you're able to get what is really happening right then and there. The next one is analysis, and this, like we said, we're working in conjunction with SPSS, so you are guaranteed accurate results, okay? And we'll show you how we can do that.
So what we're going to try to do is go through each step and explain to you what we've come up with that we implement to help us gather the results of the feedback that we're looking for. The first step here we're going to talk about is administration. And the reason why we say administration, because someone has to be there. You have one person, preferably you, that's actually running the test. And because you're there trying to gather feedback, there's some benefits. First, because it's proctored, because you have to be there to gather it, you can eliminate distractions. If people are coming in, if there's a distraction, you are now there to help eliminate that so people can stay focused on the questions that's being answered. The second one here is paraphrase questions if needed. A lot of times when questions are being answered, people may not understand what you're looking for, what you're really trying to ask. A well-formulated set of questions are hard to put together, so sometimes it's good to be there to paraphrase that question so that everyone in the session that are giving feedback actually know exactly what you're looking for. Another benefit of using TurningPoint is we all have taken surveys or questionnaires that say moderately agree, strongly agree, but what does that really mean? What moderately agree means to me may not be the same thing it means to you. But since I'm there, I can actually qualify that statement and let you know exactly what it means. So when you're answering, everyone's answering it the same way. Another benefit here is that because you're there, you can potentially reduce and eliminate drop-offs. In a session like this, I can count how many people are out there. I can count how many response cards. And as I'm going through and we open up polling, I can then check to see, okay, we have 10 people. And I can even make a statement, we'll wait for the last 2 people to respond before we move on. It's just a way that you can make sure that you get as close to 100% as you possibly can for administration.
Okay. I'm going to talk a little bit about acquisition. How many of you guys would say that a low level of human interaction, the lowest level possible, is a benefit when collecting information?